Hi, guys. My guest is late. I always like them to be on a couple minutes early to check their microphone and their lighting and stuff. And today is my old roommate, Laura Nilles, who I love to death. But being her roommate, I can say, yeah, she's a little tardy from time to time. I loved living with her. And today's commentary will be exciting because we get along very well. Um, but she's late. She has an interesting personality, as you'll see. Aha, there she is.
Oh, I'm here.
I was just introducing you, and I was
Well,
like, oh, my old roommate, who I love to death, is a little tardy, but I can say that it happens from time to time.
here was my reason. I got a new puppy and she just sometimes she needs a little extra time.
Yeah, well, I get that. Our children always need more time, don't they?
Yes. Yes.
So introduce me, introduce the world.
The world, well, this is Gertie Nilles, and she is 12-week old Maltese mix. She's perfect. She's absolutely perfect. She didn't know she'd be on camera this morning, so her hair's a little poofy, but
I love scruffy pups. They're my absolute favorite. I don't know
yeah.
what it is. I gravitate towards them. I just want to grab them by their scruffiness.
We're not sure. We're not sure. We may have to trim the bangs. Where it's getting a little out of control.
Her bangs and sometimes the little ones that get in their mouth.
Yeah, yeah. She's a little crazy, but we'll keep her.
Well, today, Laura, we I don't know if you've seen this show or not, which you might not have, but we do topics about random stuff that has to do with housing. And today it's associations. We're supposed to be doing associations with Katie. However, Katie said that she always defers to you. And so she wanted you to do it.
Well, she does. She does. She does.
She does. Okay, so I have some notes to help guide us along because I know that you need that. We all do.
Great.
Okay, so let's talk about an association in the first place. Let's talk about what it is.
So an association is going to be a common interest community. And so this is a collection of people, homeowners, who are all part of the same community who actually have interest in the community. So this is townhomes, condos. It can sometimes be twin homes. There's also sometimes associations in a residential area with, let's say, a neighborhood, and there's certain parks, or there is, you know, it's about a community.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so everybody basically pays their fair share for this common interest place.
Yes.
And the dues, so to go into what they pay for, it can be, like you said, a wide variety of things.
Yep. The dues can either be $70 once a year, and that's just for access or for people to maintain the lawn in the neighborhood, all the way up to some people pay $1,000 a month for their dues, and that includes almost all of their living amenities, cable, internet, pool, all the works, heat, AC, everything.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen them a lot more than $1,000. But you guys, what it pays for is essentially your fair share. And it usually goes off of a percentage of ownership in the building. So if you have like a 1 bedroom, but your neighbor has a 2 bedroom, the 2 bedroom is going to be paying more than the 1 bedroom.
Yeah, they go off percentage of ownership in condos. Townhomes, most associations in townhomes like to keep them exactly the same.
Yes. Okay, so Hi. She's saying hi to Gertie. Hi, Gertie. Okay, so I'd like to talk about when people ask me about HOAs, I think of them in two ways. I think of really high ones and I think of really low ones because typically you'll hear about a condo or a townhome and you'll hear some people kind of balk. They don't want to pay high dues. But like
Mm-hmm.
what you said, high dues they tend to be possibly healthier associations because
Mm-hmm.
not only are they allocating the proper amounts to reserves and stuff, but they're also including things like sometimes electricity and internet. Providing high speed access to the internet is important these days, especially pandemic wise, needing to work from home and school and such. But also, I like it because as a homeowner or somebody that homesteads it, it tends to keep out investors as
Mm-hmm.
well, because investors don't like high association dues. They want to keep their costs low. And so it tends to be more homeowner occupied in places that have higher association dues. And it tends to be a little bit more of an active community.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
is your experience about voting on boards?
Well, I have been on boards. I was actually the president, vice president, and secretary for 10 years within my own association. So voting is interesting. It really, when you buy into a common interest community, you want to be involved because then you get a say in where your money goes. And if you choose not to be involved, then you don't get a say. And so voting on boards, there have been associations where many of the board members and the community just aren't involved. They don't attend meetings. So therefore, they don't really vote. And then things just get passed and happen. And my experience in voting on boards has been the association that I was part of for a very long time. They actually didn't have much engagement from all of the owners. And so those five people on that board are the people whose votes mattered. And because no one else was voting, no one else was approving things, no one else was coming forward, they really ran the association. And luckily, they were, people that were good and honest and wanting the right things for the association. But sometimes that may not happen.
I was on the exact opposite of boards, where they were older associations that were created out of maybe singles communities. So back before
Yes.
fair housing came about, they could actually have singles communities where
Yeah.
there was no children allowed. Well, thank God for that because, things happen and it's affordable housing. And if you have a 2 bedroom, why can't that 2 bedroom be for a kid or, they get divorced, you have your kids on weekends, et cetera, et cetera. But fast forward to today, some of these boards have antiquated bylaws and rules and regs. And because they're low dues and the lack of community involvement have allowed for an extreme amount of investor saturation, which causes problems with voting. And if investors aren't actively voting, yet they hold a majority of the properties, you're not going to get any changes. You're not going to get, there's going to be a lot more assessments typically, and possible lawsuits because I've seen that. I actually left a board because I felt like it was super unethical and I had to sell the place because I felt like I knew too much. Like I wanted out. Like this is bad news bears. So you guys, you never know what you're getting into. So it's important to do your research. Laura, what is when you're buying a condo or a townhome, what kind, or even a house for that matter, with one of those neighborhood associations, what is the law around the time frame to review the documents?
So for the majority, not all, but for the majority, you get a 10-day right of rescission period. So once you've received all of the HOA documents, the clock starts, and you have 10 days as a consumer, as the buyer, to review all of those documents. And we make sure with our clients that they have not only just the rules and regulations and the standard documents, but you also want to look at those meeting minutes for the past year. You want to also be checking in with the master insurance policy. Um, and so the rule is you have 10 days, and that's your time. We guide our clients to look at, is there anything in those rules and regulations that you didn't know or that you may not be able to live with? There can be things in there that you haven't thought about. Is having a pet important to you, and maybe your dog is too big? Is there anything in there that really isn't going to work with your lifestyle? There's certain things that come up that are like storage of boats, grilling, smoking. We really let our clients know this is your time to find out, is this going to work for you? Because they're not going to change the rules for you. Those are the
Yeah.
rules.
And
So
guest parking for me, I feel like was always something that nobody ever looked at. Guest parking. Where is it? How I'm
sorry.
driving through at night, seeing how many people actually utilize the guest parking. Because if, my sister comes over to babysit for me, she doesn't have she doesn't have the right sticker in her car. Is she going to get towed? Or,
Yep.
even if she has the right sticker, is she allowed to park there overnight, or does she have to be in a special spot? Decorations was always a weird one for me, like Christmas decorations. Some do, some don't. Some you have to have them up by a certain day and down by a certain day. And
Certain ones have, flags. You can't post certain flags, types of flags, any sort of, political signs or affiliation of anything. So yeah, they're very, very, very stringent, and they can be. We guide everybody to believe that the HOA documents that they're reviewing are set in stone and are absolutely enforced 100%. And so living there in the community day in and day out, they may not be, and it may be something that has a little bit of leeway. But you need to act as if those rules are enforced. And if you're not ready to pay those fines or follow those rules, then this may not be the right community for you. I equate a lot of HOAs kind of to having a wedding. Which what I mean by that is you got to give some and you got to take some. So if these people are willing to cut your grass and mow your lawn and keep up your pool and take care of your water and your garbage and all those things, then you have to be willing to go by some of their rules at the wedding. I know it's a weird analogy.
Yeah, it is. Well, and some people just, they're like, oh, I wish I had known my in-laws better before I got married. It's like the perfect analogy. I love it. Well, and it's a community too. It really is. Like, you should spend some time there. I always tell my clients, go and actively walk around it. Look at the pools, look at the playgrounds, walk the lawn, see who's outside smoking, see who's
ask neighbors,
job, who doesn't have a job, who has dogs chained up outside. I'm like, you will learn so much doing your homework, like walking the grounds.
One of those things too, Jen, that I mentioned is having that 10-day right of rescission is looking at that budget. We usually guide our clients that a standard is at absolutely no less than a minimum of $1,000 in savings per unit. And that's in reserves. That's a healthy HOA. Anything above and beyond that, that's really, really good. So we usually guide our clients to look at, 2,000, even 3,000 in reserves per unit. And that's going to be a healthy association. And yeah, talking to the people who live there. Do they like the association? Are they involved? How does it feel?
I have a link in the comments here that I put so you guys can read all up about it. But there were some changes that were made that came through in January 2019 that actually
Yes.
required a plan for like standard maintenance, like roof checks and window checks. And so these are maintenance requirements that a lot of places didn't have in place. And so it's really nice to see some of those laws come through. Also, I do believe that we should be looking at, like you said, the budgets and the reserves, because with the pandemic and people possibly out of jobs, the first thing they might have stopped paying their mortgage, but did they stop paying their association dues?
Yes.
And so we might start seeing some of that pop up in the next year or two. I know that the banks have been talking about, what the deferment plans are going to look like. So if you guys have are in deferment and you have questions about that, what that might look like after it's called for repayment, please give us a call and we can help direct you to the right kind of guidance. And Laura, our time is up. That went by really fast.
That went by super fast.
I miss you. I want to be with you.
Oh, you're hugging the camera. I love it.
I have to hug the camera. I don't get to hug you today. I was sick all weekend. So take a couple days off. So you guys, I had my second COVID vaccine on Friday. And I was like dead on Saturday. I was so tired. I felt like drugged. And Terry came into the room and he's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I don't know." I wanted to unzip my skin and take it off because it felt gross. And then my head pounded. So I thought about maybe taking a vacuum and sucking out my guts. And I was like, oh, that might feel kind of good. And then my joints started to ache. And I was like, well, fuck it. Just throw me in a vat of sulfuric acid, dissolve me until I'm goo. It was awful.
Goo. Well, I'm glad to see that you're feeling better because you look great.
Thank you. Anyway, I will see you in a couple minutes. I'm going to end this. So you stay on so we can chat.
Okay, great.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.